Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel, where we dive deep into South Africa's political landscape, unpacking the stories that matter. Today, we turn our attention to a dramatic and chaotic scene that recently unfolded in Limpopo, specifically at the ANC's elective conference in the Mokaba region of Polokwane. What should have been a structured and democratic event quickly descended into disarray, laying bare the growing divisions within the African National Congress and the fragile state of internal unity. Now, if you're new here, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's unpack what really went down at the Mokaba Regional Conference, and what it means for the ANC going forward. The ANC's regional elective conferences are normally seen as routine events, procedures meant to elect new leadership and solidify political direction at the local level. But the recent conference in Polokwane was anything but routine. From the start, it was marred by intense disruptions, heated verbal clashes, and visible tension between delegates representing different internal factions. According to eyewitnesses and media on the scene, the atmosphere was described as chaotic and volatile. Security officials were overwhelmed, and party marshals struggled to maintain control as angry delegates hurled accusations and threats across the venue. The core of the problem: deep-rooted factionalism and growing mistrust between rival groups within the ANC. As delegates arrived to cast their votes and nominate leaders, disputes broke out over credentials and candidate lists. There were claims that some delegates were improperly accredited or that the nomination process had been manipulated to favor certain factions. Allegations of procedural irregularities and gatekeeping ignited outrage among supporters, many of whom felt sidelined or excluded. The result was an explosion of frustration and anger, culminating in verbal altercations and, in some instances, near physical confrontations. The tension grew so severe that conference proceedings were temporarily suspended. Organizers had no choice but to pause the event to calm tempers and reassess the situation. But by that point, the damage was already done. The legitimacy of the conference was now under scrutiny, and the public image of the ANC, already facing criticism for internal instability, took yet another blow. This chaotic scene is not an isolated incident. Instead, it reflects a broader pattern of disorder and dysfunction plaguing ANC structures across the country. From provincial to regional conferences, the party has repeatedly faced accusations of vote rigging, factional violence, and internal sabotage. The Mokaba incident is just the latest in a string of events that illustrate the ANC's ongoing identity crisis. What makes this particularly concerning is the timing. South Africa is heading into an era of political uncertainty, where the ANC's dominance is being challenged both at the polls and within its own ranks. Internal battles like the one we saw in Polokwane don't just harm the ANC, they erode public trust in the democratic process itself. For many South Africans watching from the outside, the images of shouting matches and physical confrontations at a party conference reinforce a growing perception that the ANC is struggling to lead itself, let alone the country. And it's not just about power struggles. At the heart of these factional battles are deep disagreements over policy direction, leadership style, and political vision. On one side, there are those pushing for reform, accountability, and generational change. On the other, entrenched power blocs are fighting to maintain control and protect existing patronage networks. These opposing forces are locked in a tug-of-war that frequently spills into public view. The fallout from the Mokaba conference has been swift. Critics have blasted the ANC for its inability to maintain internal discipline, and some are now calling for national intervention to restore order within the region. Others warn that unless the party takes serious steps to address its internal divisions, these disruptions could become the norm rather than the exception. There's also a generational factor at play. Younger ANC members and activists are increasingly frustrated with the party's leadership, which they view as corrupt, out of touch, and resistant to change. Many of them see the chaos at the conference not as an accident, but as a symptom of a broader rot within the party's structures. For them, this was not a political embarrassment, it was a wake-up call. Let's also talk about how this affects the ANC's image on the national stage. As the ruling party, the ANC is expected to set an example of democratic values and organizational discipline. Instead, scenes like the one in Polokwane create an impression of a party in crisis, one that's too consumed by infighting to govern effectively. This kind of internal instability can have serious consequences for national governance, especially at a time when South Africa faces pressing challenges in areas like unemployment, service delivery, and economic recovery. So, what's next? The ANC must urgently address the issues exposed by this chaotic conference. That means investigating the procedural complaints, holding those responsible for the disorder accountable, and initiating a serious dialogue among its members to rebuild trust and unity. But most importantly, the party needs to redefine its internal culture, moving away from factionalism and towards a more transparent, inclusive, and principled approach to leadership selection. Because make no mistake, if the ANC cannot clean house internally, it risks losing its relevance altogether. The electorate is watching. Civil society is watching. And with every scene of internal conflict, the party's credibility takes another hit. The time for empty slogans is over. South Africans want to see real leadership, both in government and within political parties. As always, we'll be keeping a close eye on how this story develops. Will the ANC take bold steps to address these internal divisions, or will factionalism continue to define its future? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Should the ANC national leadership intervene in regional conferences like this? Or is it already too late to heal the divisions within the party? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video if you found it informative, subscribe to stay updated on South African politics, and share your views in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. See you next time.